Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Dr. Ghost and today we're going to be taking a look at the Tier 4 American Premium Destroyer, the Nicholas. You guys can get this right now in the Halloween event if you guys complete the 5th circle of Nightmare mode, okay? So, yeah. Now, right off the bat, what do I think about this ship? Well, is it anywhere close to the level of Farragut or Hill? Me personally, I don't think not, man. The Hill, the Farragut, they're both fantastic gunboat destroyers. The Nicholas is more of a torpedo-centric, focused destroyer, and to be honest with you, it doesn't have much of an impact on most battles because you're too dependent on your torpedoes. And that's something I think that is not a good thing to be dependent on, because most people, if they are smart and if they're paying attention, torpedoes aren't an issue. Like, if you're just paying attention, you can dodge a majority of torpedoes that are sent your way. So this is one of those destroyers that is really going to be better suited in a top tier lobby with a bunch of noobs sailing in straight lines for you. That's the only way I know how to put it. But anyway, with all that out of the way, we'll talk more about what I think about this ship in some gameplay. We'll play a match after I review this ship. But, yeah, let's go and take a look at the upgrades in Loadout. So it's a Tier 4 Premium, so you only got one modification slot. And, of course, we're running Aiming Systems Mod 1. Now, taking a look at the commander, we're running, Gleaves, okay? So, Gleaves, right here, I just have a commander guys on, but I am running Albert Gleaves as a commander. He is more of the torpedo-focused commander, so keep that in mind. Now, for the inspirations, I'm running Reginald Tierwit for the extra torpedo launcher reload time, and, of course, the steering gear impairment chance decrease. So, and I'm running Eric Bay for the minus 3% to my concealment. For the base trait, we've got From Afar, torpedo range plus 5.7 kilometers. Or not 5.7 kilometers, 5.7%. It's about like a half a kilometer extra torpedo range. We're running Subsurface Venture. This increases our torpedo speed by 4 knots, and it decreases our reload for our torpedoes by 12%. But what this does also is it decreases, or it increases rather, our main battery reload time. So it takes longer to load our guns, but we get more torpedo capabilities, essentially. So we're running for the second skill, we're running Look at Me Now. This obviously just decreases our concealment by 6%. I could run Fragile Threat, however, I don't like losing that 10% HP just because I want to get like a 0.1 kilometer off my concealment. That's not worth it to me. Losing 1,000 HP just for like 0.1 or 2 kilometers, minus to your concealment, that's not worth it in my opinion, so I'm not running that. Look at Me Now, better. Just better. Torpedo Safari for the third skill here. This increases our torpedo range, but it decreases our destroyer main battery range. So the guns, once again, you sacrifice your guns for extra torpedoing capabilities. And for the fourth skill and final skill, we're running Destroyer Be Destroyed. Maximum destroyer speed plus 6%. However, this increases our main battery shell grouping, or decreases our main battery shell grouping minus 5%. So, there you go. So, we're basically focused into the torpedoes and everything, and our guns are going to struggle a lot more because of that. And one thing to mention, too, is if I want to build this thing for gunboats, why would I do that, right? What's the point in building the Nicholas for guns when I have Hill and Farragut? The Farragut, phenomenal gunboater. Hill, a phenomenal gunboater. I do not see the point in building for guns on the Nicholas when I have the Farragut and the Hill. It just doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, let's go and take a look at the loadout here. We're running high explosive shells. We got armor-piercing shells. We've got torpedoes. We have standard damage control parties. We've got 2 smoke generators. We've got 3 engine boosts. And, of course, 2 DFAAs, which is quite unique. The AA potential on this destroyer is definitely up there. So if you are in a carrier game, carriers beware, essentially, because this thing has DFAAs, and you will regret coming after one of these little destroyers, especially if they have a DFAA running, so be very, very careful. We're running the Resurrected flag, because it's Halloween, and we're running the purple threat camo that the ship comes with, As you guys can see, the flag matches the camo. So, there you go. There you go. Anyway, let's take a look at the specs here. We've got survivability, 13,100 hit points in my current build with no armor, essentially. It's a destroyer, you got no armor. For the artillery, we've got 4 127mm 5-inch American guns that shoot out to 9.2 kilometers on my build, 4.5 second reload, just about. I'm giving the ship the benefit of the doubt there. It's actually a 4.4 second reload. The 180-degree turn time for the turrets is 12 seconds. The maximum HE shell damage on my build currently is 1,800 with a 5% chance of setting fires. And finally, for the AP shell maximum damage, 2,100. These are very average stats for most American destroyers and most 5-inch guns. So, yeah, you get one less gun than the Farragut and the Hill. And that may not sound like a lot, but it is. You lose 20% of your gun DPM. So keep that in mind. Losing 20% DPM is pretty significant for a destroyer, especially if you're building this thing for gunboats. I would not recommend building the Nicholas for gunboats. It's not an adequate gunboat compared to Farragut and Hill, because like I just said, you lose 20% of your DPM anyway, so what's the point? Now, this is where the ship starts to get interesting for Tier 4. You have 6 torpedoes per side. They are 533mm triple launchers, so 6 torpedoes on the starboard side, 6 torpedoes on the port side. These torpedoes on my build reload at 56.3 seconds, 11,000 maximum damage, and the torpedo detectability range is pretty poor, 1.1 kilometers. Now, taking a look at the torpedo range, this is where this is really special for an American destroyer. It's 6.7 kilometers. Now, that's not very far range. But if you can manage to get into a lobby where people are just sailing straight for you and making it easy, you can totally torpedo people with these 6.7 kilometer torpedoes. You can technically, and I say technically with quotation marks, you can technically stealth torpedo with the Nicholas, but in practice, this doesn't usually work out all the time, mainly because, number one, you get spotted by other destroyers. A lot of the times you're in carrier games, and a lot of the times the battleships you're torpedoing like to not sail in straight lines. A lot of people are actually not stupid, and they actually alter their course and do things to throw off your torpedo aim. So just keep that in mind. There you go. For the AA defense, now you have 12.7mm Browning M2 Mod 2s. You've got 6 of them, and they shoot out to 1.2 kilometers with a 23 average damage per second. You've got some 28mm Mark II Mod 2s that shoot out to 3.1 kilometers. You have 4 of them, or sorry, you have 8 of them in dual barrels, and the average damage per second is 14. And finally, your 127mm 5-inch guns are dual-purpose guns. Dual-purpose meaning that they can shoot at ships and planes. These 5-inch guns also produce flat clouds, 13 average damage per second, and those shoot out to 5 kilometers. For the maneuverability, 39.2 knots, which is average for a destroyer at the tier, 600-meter turning circle radius with a 2-second rudder, or 2.7-second rudder to be exact. Pretty average, to be honest with you there. And finally, for the concealment, you've got 5.2 by sea on my build, detectability range by air, 2.9, and 2 guaranteed, of course, with a 2.3 while firing in smoke. Taking a look at the armor, you don't have any. You don't have any. And finally, the overview. This ship never existed. This was a paper ship in all intents and purposes here. The Nicholas was never built, never laid down, and that's about all she wrote there. But yeah, like I said, guys, the Nicholas is a torpedo-focused American destroyer, and the torpedoes only go out to 6.7 kilometers. I really don't see the point in playing this ship over ships like Kamikaze, ships like Minakazes, ships like Matsukis. Those can all do torpedo things better. Even ships like the T-22 can torpedo better because you got 8-kilometer torpedoes. Even 9-kilometer torpedoes if you build into it. So I just don't see the point in playing Nicholas over any other destroyers at this tier. I'm trying to look at this, guys, at a statistic standpoint. I have no bias here. I love American ships, but I cannot say I love this ship. I just cannot say I like this ship. I would rather play my Hill. I would rather play my Farragut. Both of these destroyers are phenomenal gunboats. These have the potential of carrying games. They're very consistent, mainly because you have your main batteries to fall back onto. So, I don't know. Anyway, nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and play a game here in the Nicholas. Live comm sort of deal. We're just going to play it right now, and all in one take. And we're going to see what happens. But like I said, you know, it's a torpedo-focused destroyer. And one thing to mention, too, is can you have good games in this ship? Of course. You can have good games in any ships if the matchmaker allows you to have good games. And, of course, if you get the perfect scenarios to play into your part there. So a lot of people might have a mixed, you know, feeling for this ship. A lot of people might really like it. A lot of people might really not like it. I'm one of the people who really doesn't like this ship too much. But this ship does have potential if you can manage to get into a match with people sailing in straight lines, or, you know, just letting you torp them or even gun them down. I guess you can have a good time with this ship, but for the most part, people aren't going to be making it easy for you. For the most part, people are going to be actively trying to not die, and, well, that right there is what is going to ultimately make the ship suffer. If you're in a match with a bunch of sweat lords or people that know what they're doing, you're not going to be able to accomplish a whole lot with this ship. Nonetheless, we are in battle here. We just loaded in. We are on straight. It's a capture the base mode, already a very bad mode. So there you go. We are in a tier 5 lobby. One thing to mention too is when this ship is up tiered, it really does struggle quite a bit. So we'll try our best. So looks like we have no carriers, so there's that to look forwards to. Now, I think what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go in the middle here. We're going to spot and hope for the best. Now, we have on the enemy team, we have a Mayhem, we have a Podvoisky, so two very potent gunboating destroyers there. We do definitely have to watch out for those destroyers, for sure. Now, right off the bat, we got a Koenig spotted. Koenig is going broadside. He's turning away, so we're not going to be able to torpedo him. Omaha is sailing broadside, and he is actually currently... looks like he's heading over to the other side of the map. And the Bajani over here is just sitting still, so we might be able to get close here. Actually, nope, it looks like he's moving forwards. So, yeah, I don't really know what we can do here, other than just spot these guys for the team. Now, the teammates are shooting at this Bajani here, thankfully, but they're not doing a whole lot of decent damage, so there you go. Now, we got this Omaha here. I'm going to see if I can't maybe set up a potential torpedo strike. We're going to close the distance here. Looks like he's actually backing up, so what we're going to do is turn hard to port, get this island between me and him, send some torpedoes back there, and, of course, right when I send the torpedoes, he flies forwards, because of course he does. So there you go. I can't have good things. I'm going to go and smoke up here, and let him come around this corner, and maybe we can potentially get some of these 5-inch guns to hit his citadel there. He is broadside, so we should be able to citadel him just like that. And down he goes. That's our first kill of the game. 4 citadels, and that's an Omaha down. Now, one thing to mention, too, is the Farragut and the Hill can do that as well. Almost as better as this ship can. See what I mean? Like, you have to literally fall back onto your guns with this ship. Because most of the time, I'm not able to actually torpedo things. Like, as you guys can see, in a match like this, the battleship over here is running away. I can't torpedo him. This cruiser, I can't torpedo him. And this Omaha, I tried to torpedo him, but he slammed forward, so I had to smoke up and finish him off with the guns. That right there just proves my point. It just proves my point. When you're in a match with people who are unpredictable and people that don't sail in straight lines for you, you're not going to be able to do a whole lot. Sorry, it's just the fact of the matter here. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do is come around this corner and potentially kill something here. We got all the torpedoes in the world. Then the Podvoisky decides to say hello. So instead, we're going to go ahead and stop here and wait for him to come around this corner. Or actually, it looks like he's taking torpedoes. Never mind. De Grasse lands torpedoes on him. That's fantastic. So there you go. And so far, our team is doing pretty good up to this point. We have 400 points. The enemy team has 252. And you know what? I'm just going to charge because I am bored as hell. Like, I am bored as hell. I'm tired of just sitting here. Now, we got a Yahagi right here. And we have our AP loaded once again. We're going to go and send our torpedoes because he's crashing into the island. He just sent his torpedoes, but we're okay. Yahagi's backing up, and it looks like he's going to eat one of our torpedoes. Down he goes. But yeah, like, what I'm doing here, guys, what I'm doing here is what I do in Farragut and what I do in Hill. And I do it better with Farragut and Hill because Hill and Farragut both have better firing angles, they have more guns, and, well, they have more close quarters potential there in terms of gunboating. Like, oh, this is no better than a Farragut or a Hill. I'm sorry, it just isn't. This is a worse Hill, it's a worse Farragut. There's no other way of putting it. It has slightly more torpedo and AA capabilities. That's the only area that this ship has going for it. Other than that, in terms of firepower, it already has a disadvantage to the Hill and to, of course, the Farragut, because they both have 5 5-inch guns. This ship only has 4 5-inch guns, so you already lose 20% DPM there. Now, hold on a minute. We're hopefully going to be able to set up a torpedo strike here. We got a Koenig that is really not doing anything too scary, so we're going to be able to potentially YOLO him down? Question mark. We're going to send some more torpedoes out here. I will mention, too, that the firing angles for these torpedoes are very good. As you guys can see, these torpedo angles are really good. But, like, I really don't see why it matters too much. Now, it looks like the Koenig is going to eat 2 of those torpedoes, just like that. He's flooding ×2 right now, and he's going to maybe eat another torpedo, and down he goes. So there you go. Once again, this is something I could have done in Farragut and in Hill. The Hill has 9 torpedoes, 2 per side, and I don't get it. I don't get why I would play this ship over the Farragut or Hill. I don't know. So yeah, man, basically to sum it up, it's not a bad destroyer. I mean, as you guys can see, in a game like this, where you got a bunch of people just making it easy for you, if you have a game where people are just rolling over for you, yeah, obviously you can have a good game. But do I think that this is something worth you ripping your hair out to get? No. Statistically speaking, this is worse than the Farragut. This is worse than the Hill. It does have slightly more HP than the Farragut. But then again, I really don't see why that matters too much. Because Farragut has better guns and, well, better DPM, and a Farragut could outgun this thing because of that fact. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this ship. I'm not a big fan of it. I really don't see any point in taking this ship over Farragut, over Hill. I mentioned those 2 ships a lot in this video. I featured those ships quite a lot on this channel because they're some of my favorite destroyers in the game. American gunboats are phenomenal, but American torpedo boats are just not my thing. And torpedo boats in general are not my thing. I could not care less about torpedo boats, especially American torpedo boats. If I want to go torpedo things, I go play the Japanese. I go play the Pan-Asians. I go play the Germans, or even the French. The Americans are gunboats, not torpedo boats, and I don't like it when they, you know, make torpedo boat focused American destroyers. They're just not my thing. Torpedo boats have never been my thing, mainly because they're just too dependent on people's stupidity. And I'm not lucky enough to get people, for the most part, to just sail broadside for me and, well, take my torpedoes, essentially. So, yeah. Like I said, though, you can have good games in this ship. You can have good games in any ship. That's not just exclusive to this thing, but do I think this is good? Nah, I mean, it's good in the torpedo category, I guess, compared to the Farragut and Hill, and it's better in the AA category. But other than that, it's not anything special compared to those two monster tech tree and premium destroyers. But nonetheless, that's the Nicholas, ladies and gentlemen. A bit of an honest video today, but that's what we're all about here on Dr. Ghost Games. We're all about honesty. We're all about simplicity here, and I try my best here to give you a non-biased look at ships. I give you my opinions the way I see it. So I hope you all did enjoy it nonetheless. We completed here on 48,000 damage, 19 main battery hits, 4 torpedo hits, 2 incapacitations, 3 ships destroyed, 3 detected ribbons, 3 cause flooding ribbons, 12 citadels, lol, gunboats, yeah. I can do that in Farragut too. I keep mentioning the Farragut. It's just one of my favorite destroyers. What can I say? We got an assist in capture, and of course we got a First Blood award. Taking a look at the XP, we came in second on the team at 1,500 base. The economy, well, we earned 174,000 credits. Not too bad. But like I said, that's the Nicholas. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this Tier 4 Premium American Destroyer. Do you guys like it more than the Hill? Do you guys like it more than the Farragut? Me personally, I love my Farragut. I've got 1.7 million Elite XP in the Farragut. It's one of my favorite Tier 4 seal clubbing destroyers. I love this thing, and I still take it out to this day. It's phenomenal. And also the Hill. The Hill is also very good as well. The Hill has 4 5-inch guns. It even has some 40mm Bofors. Taking a look at the AA too, it actually technically has better AA than the Nicholas without the DFAA. So, yeah. I don't know. It's up to you guys, though, to decide. Me, personally, I would not recommend ripping your hair out for this, for the Nicholas. But to each their own. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to go ahead and do it for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're getting super close to 3,000 subscribers. We're getting, man, let me tell you, we're probably going to hit it by the end of the year. We're closing in on 2,800. So if you guys want to get us closer to that next milestone, hit the subscribe button. Tell your friend about the channel if you think they like World of Warships, Legends, or just ship content in general, if they'll find these videos useful or what have you. But nonetheless, hope you all have a fantastic rest of your weeks. That's going to go and do it for today's video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out. Stay healthy, as always.